Ben McKee, Patrick Brown, and Go Vols 24/7 here inside of the Anderson training facility where Tennessee just wrapped up day number 1 of fall camp, and they were inside because of all the rain that Knoxville has been getting over the last several weeks. The conditions for the outdoor practice fields are not the greatest. They're a little too soggy. Don't want to risk somebody getting hurt, so they were in here for day number 1 practice. What stood out to you, Mr. Patrick Brown, about practice number 1?
Well, Josh Heupel didn't have much to say about it. Just said, hey, it was a good first day, a lot of things to work on. To the point, let's take some questions.
Everything was organized, it was good.
To me, the first day is always about the eye test, who looks good, who had a good summer. And for me, what stood out to me was the offensive and defensive lines. They got some guys who look the part on those sides, at those position groups. Some of the second-year guys, Tyree Weathersby. David Hobbs is listed at 300 pounds, but he looks really lean. Even a guy like Nathan Robinson is filled out. I don't know how much he played this year, but and then you look at the offensive line. They got some big guys there, some newcomers there. Jeremiah's Hurd is a guy that was a defensive line in high school, played a little tight end, was a punter apparently at 6'8", 300-something pounds, but they moved him to offensive tackle. He and Bennett Warren, who is a top 100 recruit, both really big, physical-looking guys that Tennessee's excited to develop and get in their program. And those position groups also have a lot of bodies. There's a lot of depth at both those positions as well.
Yeah, and in terms of availability on day 1, for the most part, everybody was accounted for. I thought the most noteworthy thing that I saw was Cam Selden was limited, had the red jersey on, but was participating in some drills. There was some drills where he was going out for a pass into the flat and catching a football. Just a good sign as they work him back in.
Yeah, red jersey, so non-contact. That's going to be the question: is when does he get cleared for contact? Obviously, that's going to be when he's cleared for contact. It's not going to be long after that I would think he could play, and we just don't know when that's going to be. I should mention Lance Hurd has a knee deal. I don't think it's a big deal. He was out there doing some drills, but does have a brace on his left knee, a sleeve. Didn't see him do some full offensive line stuff as well, so they had Dane Davis at left tackle. So that'll be something to monitor, but I don't think it's a big issue, but it'll be something to monitor in camp. And a couple guys that were banged up, didn't see Mike Matthews running any routes. Jordan Burns is a freshman linebacker who's banged up, and I don't think Brew McCoy did much either, but he was out here, and so that was a good sign, and obviously he was excited to be back out here as well.
Yeah, and Heupel talked about him post-practice, about just how it was good to see him out here at practice following that gruesome injury that he suffered last year. Another receiver that continues to generate a lot of buzz is Chaz Nimrod. And Josh Heupel had a glowing review of him today when he was asked about him.
Yeah, well, the roster came out a few weeks ago, and they had Nimrod listed at 6'3", 220. And having covered him in this program for 2 years, it's like, holy cow, that seems like a big jump, because he was listed under 200 at some point. So I didn't really get a chance to see if he's really as advertised.
He looked as advertised.
But he's a guy that's probably forgotten about in this receiving corps. Just Dante Thornton, Chris Brazel, Brew, Squirrel. Nimrod's got a chance to play because he can play inside and he can play outside. So he can help in the slot. He can play outside. He's sort of a long, smooth athlete. And he's a guy that, as you mentioned, Ben, Heupel was really glowing. Said they almost pointed out his physical transformation over the summer during the team meeting yesterday. So he's a guy not to forget about in that receiving corps.
No, not at all. Because as of today, just practice 1, and it's not because of
and
practice 1.
And Heupel said he had a good day too.
Yes, but because of the off season and the work, the versatility to play inside, outside, I would have Chaz Nimrod as one of my 3 starting receivers as of today. We'll see how it continues to play out during fall camp. Yesterday we talked about Christian Charles. Tim Banks called him the X Factor, and Josh Heupel echoed those sentiments about how he's dealt with injuries, and he didn't have as gruesome of an injury as Brew last year, but it was also good to see him back out on the field, and he kind of
made a play in one-on-ones, yeah.
He did make a play in one-on-ones, and Heupel said he can be that Swiss Army knife for them on the back end this year.
Yeah, he started at safety. I don't think he's played star, or he started games at corner.
Right.
He has played safety his freshman year, moved back to safety going into last season, then hurt his Achilles, lost a P game. So he's a guy that can play a lot of roles in that secondary, and they like versatile guys like that.
Yeah. Jordan Ross, lastly, we spoke to 3
and Joshua
freshmen
Josephs, we should mention him.
We should mention
as another guy that Heupel talked about.
Yeah, said he's completely transformed his body, and you got James Pierce at that position. But Joshua Joseph's a guy that if you need to lean on him, it sounds like you're going to be able to lean on him.
Yeah, that's another deep position for Tennessee. It
Yeah.
starts with Pierce. He didn't show up for his interview yesterday, but he was locked in today, talking, coaching Ross on the side. Did jump back into a drill when he got some coaching pointers on it. So he was locked in today, but that's another position group where Tennessee looks really good with Pierce, Josephs. Caleb Herring has changed his body from a spindly freshman 18 months ago to now pushing 250. And then Jordan Ross, talking to him, he was 215 at the end of basketball season, got up to 235 when he got here, and then put on 10 more pounds. He does not look like a freshman that has been here 2 months, the 5-star out of Alabama. So excited. They're excited about that group. We'll see how it plays out in terms of playing time. But with Pierce, Joseph, Tennessee really likes what they've got at that group. And Heupel said that's a really important position group in any level of football. You need guys that can impact the game and get after the quarterback, and Tennessee's got some guys that can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Ross was one of 3 freshmen that spoke today. Also, Jeremiah Hurd and Carson Gentle. We've got full coverage of that up at our YouTube page and on the site at GoVols247.com, which has a ton.
If you can get into the YouTube page.
Yes, we apparently yesterday reached our daily limit, so at some point those videos will be on our YouTube page by end of
Once
day
Ben
today.
gets out of YouTube jail.
Yeah, once I get out of YouTube jail. But we've got all the coverage you need of Media Day yesterday, practice number 1 today, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning for practice number 2. He's Patrick Brown. I'm Ben McKee.